In the dead of night, when the moon is high and ill winds blow, and the banshees cry and the moonlight casts an unearthly glow, arise, my love, with tales of woe.
Good evening. It is 12 midnight, the paranormal hour. Welcome to Ghost. I'm your host, Chief Lawson. Ghost is a podcast to discuss all paranormal and parapsychology subjects. You can find Ghost on all major formats, so tell your friends, tell your family. Come listen to Ghost. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is the midnight hour. It is time for Ghost, and tonight is the long-awaited Part 2 of the Monroe House After Action Report. I know you've been sitting on the edges of your seat waiting for this to come out, and I am so happy we're back with you. So tonight, we pick up where we left off from our last session, and
we're going to start out with a bang.
Yep, we're going to start out with a bang. Hey, yeah, you can't beat that. We're going to go to the upstairs Ouija room, and, I hope you guys have been commenting on social media. Keep it going. Don't forget how to get a hold of us on Instagram and on Facebook. So, and all right. So, Jennifer, March in the upstairs Ouija room.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Well, for some reason, we didn't deploy a camera up there.
The first time.
To begin with.
Yeah. It was like the upstairs kitchen. We didn't do it either. So.
We didn't.
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't remember why that thinking was there.
It was our first visit there.
Yeah.
We had one camera that was malfunctioning because it was upside down.
Well, and I want to explain. We deployed this system. This is, we went from static cams that were wired to wireless. We're now using wireless. And, oh, my God, it's so much better. Is so much better. And they have microphones built in where our old cameras did not. We had old Sony 6mm lenses, and you had to run all the cabling and everything. I mean, now it's slick. And we owe a lot of that to Eric's help in getting that set up and Tim's help. Everybody worked very hard on that, and I tell you what, these are great. But that day was the second. We'd done a shakedown before, which I want everybody to understand, we don't just deploy equipment without testing it. We test it and play with it until we figure it out before we put it out on actual investigation. We thought we were pretty good, but we had a few bugs in the system, and I think you always have bugs until you've used it 4 or 5 times. So, I mean, this is the first time we actually deployed it, or actually second time. First time we had a lot of bugs, I mean, a ton of them. This one, not so many, but we had a few. So,
yeah, because one was upside down.
Yeah, one was upside down, and we had to do a little, but, we've got that worked out.
We just tabled that one.
Yeah.
And we thought once we're up and running, we'll work on that and get it deployed somewhere else.
Yes.
Well, about 11 o'clock at night, we had a REM pod upstairs in the upstairs Ouija room, and it started going off.
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew and I were like, that's the REM pod, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we went upstairs, and we were starting to communicate with it. We played some French music because, of course, the history is the Belgian immigrant, John Berger, had the house. So
I'm not allowed to make any French jokes at this point about I surrender all or
so
anyway, never mind, go ahead. Yeah.
With my Belgian history on my grandmother's side, I was trying to speak some French, and we played a French song to see if we got some interaction, and we got a little bit. And then we didn't get any more interaction, so we said, okay, well, if you want to talk again, just set the REM pod off and we'll come back up.
Mm-hmm.
We turned to leave, and as soon as we made the turn, the REM pod went off again. And so Andrew was like, okay, well, we won't leave. We'll stay here. And so we played the music again, and it kind of died down. So we thought, okay, let's put a camera up here. So we put the camera up there. We didn't really get much going after that.
Mm-hmm.
Did a couple Estes sessions up there with Heather and Tim and I, and we kept getting the name Oscar come through the spirit box so often that I stopped saying it.
Now, who was receiving?
I was receiving this time.
Okay.
So I was upstairs, and it was Oscar. I mean, so many times. I said
So
shush.
much.
I said help. And this is where it got a little
That was
interesting.
15 minutes of fame right there. Just Oscar, Oscar,
Evidently,
Oscar.
and I
Yeah.
have no idea who Oscar was. But during this time, Tim was like,
Yeah.
okay, we got your name as Oscar. Can you give us anything else? And then the cat ball on the TV went off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it didn't just go off for a small duration.
Mm-hmm.
It went off for a minute and a half. Now, the standard time for a cat ball, when you touch it and set it off, it will stay lit for 12 seconds and then it goes dormant until it is touched again.
Mm-hmm.
This cat ball went off continuously for a minute and 30 seconds to the point where Tim was like, that's been going off a rather long time, hasn't it? And you said, yeah, maybe we should move it.
Yeah.
So Heather gets up to move it, and that's where the clip stops that we're going to play here so you can see it. But Heather moves it, and then the cat ball doesn't go off again.
No, it just stops going off.
It just stopped. The other thing I had mentioned in part 1, when you were talking about Oscar, is after that session, we went downstairs, and Heather did her session where we talked about the tripod being in the way and all that sort of stuff. Tim asked, Oscar, are you with us?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get any response, so we moved on. Later on, after we were in the other room, Heather was talking about how she thought she heard the name Oscar come through, but she wasn't sure, and we had said it so much that she just ignored it and moved on.
Yeah.
What would have been interesting is if she hadn't ignored it and said it, would it have correlated with Tim asking? So that's the one thing I'm like, who knows? But let me play this clip of the cat ball, and you'll see just how long it stays on.
Okay, so we're going to go to that clip. Here we go, folks.
Well, that's not something we do, Oscar. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, I'm going off again.
Oscar, Oscar.
What is it with Oscar? Oscar, you need to tell us what's going on.
We can't help in any way if you don't tell us something definitive. You asked for help. You need to tell us how to help.
So you might have the cat ball on the table. Oscar, are you still there? That one unusually long.
Like it just keeps going.
Yeah.
You think maybe the wind keep blowing it?
That's motion activated, right?
All right. We just played that, and then what's next here?
Then the room goes quiet again. I mean, we get some bangs, but nothing that I think.
That was an interesting session because it was like a up, down, up, down. I mean, you get a lot of activity, and then it would go quiet.
Exactly.
It was kind of weird. Yeah.
After we've all gone to bed, the Ouija room upstairs kind of goes off, but it's not necessarily the Ouija room, I don't think. The one thing that does happen is at just before 4 o'clock in the morning, something shoots. I don't know if it shoots across or if it lights up or if it appears in the TV screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm calling it a light anomaly.
Okay.
And we'll put up on Instagram the light anomaly pictures because I actually stopped the video and I went frame by frame and took screenshots because it is a split-second blink.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a flashlight. Because we're all asleep.
I remember seeing this because you asked me to look at it.
Yep, we're all asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's up there.
No.
If it was a flashlight,
And the windows are covered, so
Yeah,
this
the
is not
windows
a,
are all
this is not a
blacked out.
car. You
No.
know, and that's a small town. There isn't a whole lot moving at that hour
well,
of the night.
the TV is facing the wrong direction to pick up
Yeah.
a car reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, the windows are blacked out.
Yep. This is. Are we still? No, we're still in March. So this
This
was
is
the
March.
fire run. Okay.
Yeah, no.
No, that was in April. That was
Yeah,
in
the
April.
fire run was in
Because me
April.
and Tim had a good time watching that. You know,
Yeah.
being firemen, that's what we do. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
There's no light reflection on
Serious,
the floor.
that's what we do. Yeah.
The only light is in the TV screen.
Yeah. The reflection. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got no.
Yeah. And I looked at that, and I couldn't see. It's not an orb, and it's not. It's an anomaly. It's the only way that I can
It is.
terminology I can use to describe.
It's not. It's not an orb.
Yeah.
Yeah. But after that, for the next from 4 o'clock until 6 o'clock in the morning, we get loud bangs.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to play the anomaly first before we?
Yeah, let's play.
Let's
the
go ahead and
anomaly
play
first.
that, and then we'll come back to the bang. So here we go. All right, folks. Cheap carbons, push hard. Anyway, so you saw the light anomaly. Tell us what you think. So now, go ahead with the bangs. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So a lot of bangs are happening. It
Mhm.
sounds like kitchen cabinets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh,
It's on Do Not Disturb. I am so sorry, folks. I'd fix it, but I don't know what to do to fix it. So if you're out there and my IT expert's looking at me going, he doesn't know either, go ahead and send us that in. You know, we'd be more than happy to how to fix Chief's computer. Go ahead. Yeah.
so it sounds like the kitchen cabinets are being banged and shut.
Mhm.
The camera in the Ouija room is in the far corner, shooting towards where the pile of chairs are, but it is not angled to see into that kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got it angled into the room, but not out to the hallway.
Enough you can see down the hallway.
So of course I got extremely upset because we don't have a camera in the kitchen. We have a camera in the downstairs basement.
And that is Murphy's Law. Yeah.
Exactly, which is why in April we took the camera out of the basement because the basement was quiet and brought it upstairs to the kitchen because the kitchen had all the noise. And lo and behold, in April, the basement gets all the bangs instead of the upstairs kitchen. So again, Chief, like we're going to do like we did for the bangs
Mhm.
in the basement, I'll have you clip some of them together
Okay.
so they can hear the bangs from the kitchen.
Okay.
Now, why I think this is the kitchen and I think it's residual is because we have a clip of you
Mm-hmm.
early on checking the cabinets in that kitchen, and I can hear you banging those doors.
Yeah, and I
shut.
tell you why I did that was I heard a noise in them, and I'm thinking we got a mouse because there's this very neat. Me and Heather talk about it. This very neat antique stove, and she'd love to have it to cook with. And I mean, it's one of these ones that has all very 1950, 60 asset you could accessory you could ask for. And I heard something, so I start through trying to see if I can see mouse droppings or anything that. I couldn't find anything. Couldn't figure it out. But it didn't sound like a mouse. It sounded like somebody was, I swear, and it didn't pick up in the audio, I don't think, because you would have caught it. But it sounded like someone was tapping on tapping one door and then tapping the next door and tapping. And when I say not
Oh.
knock, it was like you're taking a finger and tapping it.
Right.
So it was like three of them. And then I decided to start looking through it, trying to figure it out.
Right.
And that's what I was doing at the time.
Okay, yeah. So we have that audio as a reference for what those cabinets sound like when they close.
Yes.
And that's the sound that we're getting for the next 2-3 hours early morning in that kitchen from the Ouija room. So we'll play a couple clips here. We're not going to play all of them because I've got a dozen there, 13 here, 16 there, just constantly. But we'll play the big loud ones for you.
Okay.
And you guys
So-
can tell us what you think.
All right, here we go. All right. So you heard the bangs again. Don't be afraid to talk to us on social media. We really would like to hear from you. So, all right.
Yeah. So while that was happening, I can't figure that out for the life of me.
The bangs.
The bangs.
Well, and I don't know either. I mean, it could be residual. I mean, that would explain why, we would have been able, the three of us, let's see, this is March. So me and Tim were down there downstairs.
You would have heard that.
We'd have heard it.
It is loud.
Yeah. And I don't sleep real sound. Anybody knows me, I don't sleep real sound. I'm a constantly up and down. The only time I sleep sound is either red lights or when I'm on the couch watching TV. No, I mean, yeah, all seriousness. But no, I would have heard that. So would have Tim.
And the doll room camera did not pick it up.
No, and it was right down the hall from it.
Yeah, I mean, so
Now, did we pick it up in the Ouija room upstairs?
that's the camera that.
Oh, that's
doll-
good. Okay, but the kitchen, yeah, this is March. We didn't have a kitchen camera.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, I really think, I don't know. I mean, what I heard that made me look through the cabinets wasn't a cabinet door shutting. But I kind of wonder if this isn't a cabinet door shutting.
Yeah, but I think it has to be. It can't be actual physically moving.
No,
because
it
the
has to
doll
be
room would have
residual.
picked it up.
I would say residual because we got one, and I know we got
Why
one.
didn't the doll room pick it up?
Well, that's the whole thing. I mean, how could we have not? How could you in March? How could you guys not have heard that? It was so
No.
loud.
Yeah, and it was cold enough that
and no other camera caught that.
No, and when you got cold weather, you usually have better audio, more, because it's crisper. You don't have as much noise. People don't go outside. They don't make a lot of racket, and of course, it's the middle of the morning,
Yeah, I mean, we weren't up and moving at all at this point.
Yeah.
But
What do you think,
It's-
hon?
I can't. I don't know.
Okay.
Just
Sarah, what are your thoughts?
Well, this is kind of irrelevant, but I will say when we
Throw it
went
out.
back to go look at the camera footage for April, this camera that got put in the kitchen was the first camera I went to look at, and I was so disappointed when we didn't catch anything on our trip back.
yeah,
I was so disappointed.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because it
there-
was so good the first trip that
yeah.
you would think
Yeah.
the second trip you get so much evidence,
nothing.
and it was silent.
It makes me think maybe it's an anniversary, residual. It only
Something that
happened
you lined
day.
up just
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
So-
could be. I mean, the bad thing is we don't have any research on the renters because
No.
there's no records kept.
no.
And I mean, these little places, they don't keep records. I mean, I've lived in those before. Hell, when me and Heather started out, we were living in one. And I mean, he didn't keep records. So there's no way to trace this back.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like there was a sound bubble, because, like an echo chamber, a sound bubble, some sort of interference or shield that the doll camera didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
That's what really gets me, is because if the sound echoed, it would have echoed down the hallway and at least been some sort of even faint audio.
You should be able to, yeah, one of the other cameras should
Because
collaborate
that doll
yeah.
camera was right in the doorway,
Yeah.
shooting towards the doll room.
And we should have been able to get something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean that's just is mind-boggling,
Okay. Yeah.
and it is. It's very defeatist that then in April that camera was totally quiet. I
Mhm.
only caught one thing on that camera at the very kind of like 2:00 in the morning. It was faint, and it made me go to camera 5, which is where the real audio is, because this is where the whistle happens again.
Mhm.
This is the only thing we caught in April, is this whistle. And I'm going to have Chief play the footage from the camera upstairs, camera 7.
Yep.
And then right after, we're going to play the footage from camera 5, which is command center. The only person down there is Tim, and he's manning command central. He's messing around with the spirit box.
Yeah.
He doesn't react to this sound at all.
And he would have.
He would have, because it sounds like it's right in the room. It is louder on the command central camera than it is on the upstairs kitchen camera. And Eric, this is when you and I are downstairs in the Victorian room doing our Estes session, and you guys are upstairs in the doll room.
Me and Heather, yeah.
You, Heather, and Sierra are
Me.
upstairs in
Yep,
the doll
yep, yep.
room doing your Estes
Yep,
session.
yep.
So
All right.
we,
Yeah,
None of us
exactly.
whistle.
Come
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we don't whistle to begin with.
I can't
because
whistle.
That's kind of
I
like
can, but I
no-no.
don't. I haven't since I was a kid.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I can't whistle anymore.
No.
either.
you're not.
I
Gonna
talk
whistle
loud
in-
enough. I don't need to whistle. I just scream at people. You can ask
Well,
anybody ever worked for me.
I can whistle, but we were deep into that essence section,
Yeah, we
so
were-
It
Well,
wouldn't have been a
yes.
reason to do so.
No.
You know,
No.
so
So we'll play both of those back to back. First, we'll do camera 7, and then we'll do camera 5.
okay. So here we go.
What day it is? Let's talk about you. Were you here when the building caught fire?
Class.
Class. You take class here.
All right, folks. Now I want to point out we're doing kind of kitchen and Ouija room together upstairs. So this is the upstairs kitchen, and the two that you heard were the same whistle caught on two different cameras.
Precisely.
So I want to make sure everybody
Yep,
understands that.
yep.
So okay. So next up,
We're going back into the Ouija room
okay.
for April.
April. So we're starting off. Are we starting out with our whistler?
Yeah, let's start out with a whistle. Let me grab my notes so that I can get the exact
Okay.
stamp. Pages.
Pages, more pages. That's
You
the
sh-
thing about people don't realize how much documentation goes into.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should see
review
my
of
notebook.
evidence.
I have
Oh
a
my God,
notebook
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Each page, each camera has its own section.
Mhm.
So what I do is when I go through, if I hear the slightest knock, if
Yeah.
I hear somebody talking, I mark the timestamp and mark what it is, so that if somebody comes back to me and says, "Oh, hey, I heard this," I said, "No, that was actually Tim. He was walking from here to there, and he knocked over something." So I've got like, I'm kind of OCD when it comes to this kind of thing. So I've got like 25 pages here of notes. They're not all hits. It's not all paranormal, but it just
At least it
kinda,
explains. Yeah, a lot of them are the ones that we decide not to use.
yeah,
but
it kind of
still
gives
there.
me an
Yeah.
idea of who's been where and what's going on.
And someone asked me one time. They said, "Well, how do you?" We document the living heck out of everything because when I formed the group, I was coming from a military background, a fire background, and we had people that were in police and law enforcement, I should say. We brought that documentation skill in. So I want you to understand, we document, and we can pull a case from 6, 7 years ago, and it will have enough documentation. We can sit down and read through it within a few minutes. It's like being there all over again. It comes back to you. So,
Yeah, that's exactly.
it makes it work
Yeah,
really well.
I've got a complete walkthrough of who
Yeah.
was where at any given minute.
Yeah,
I
and that
know.
makes a difference. So
Yeah. So in April, the Ouija room camera, the very first thing it catches is a little girl's voice,
Mhm.
and I got
And
super
yeah,
excited.
yeah.
And then I was like, that is way too good.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. So I went back and I just kept
Too good to be
re-listening and
true.
re-listening, and I'm like, you know what? There are multiple kids, and I bet they are the kids outside playing in the street because
Because there was some. They were, yeah,
it's a neighborhood.
yeah.
There's kids everywhere. It was still light out, and so it's got to be the kids outside.
Yeah,
It's just too clear for it not to be.
still too early in the evening.
Yeah.
So I mean,
But right after that is we catch another whistle.
Mm-hmm.
This one is definitely inside the room because it has an echo. So we'll play that for
Ooh.
you now and
Okay.
get your take.
And we're gonna go to that whistle with the echo. Here we go. All right, folks. Hope you enjoyed that whistle. And now we're going to talk a little bit about Jennifer and Eric in the Ouija room.
So Eric and I go up and we're going to have a little session in the Ouija room. And we got a little bit of K2 activity. We had a bunch of stuff in the doll room, which we'll talk about when we get to the doll room in a second. So then we came into the Ouija room and we're trying the K2 meter. And what happens when you go to that window that's blacked out?
Just it pegs it. It's
All the way to red.
yeah,
All the lights.
constantly.
And we're like, what the heck is that? It doesn't make any sense because there should be no energy field that high there.
Right.
But what do you think it might be, Eric?
Yeah, so I look and there's a governmental building, and it looks like there's microwave towers. So Chief and I talked about this. Microwave shouldn't be emitting that, but there's
But-
probably some sort of municipal.
Yeah. It could also been a radio on that same tower. I mean, it could be on UH or VHF that could have caused the interfraction.
Right,
and
but I noticed there was
Yeah.
a microwave tower, so there could have been other.
and they may still be using it.
Yeah. So obviously that's not paranormal. It's just pegged, and I went several times in the night, and it was always there.
Always
Pegged.
pegging. Yeah.
So
And in one of those cases, we go back to the when in doubt, we throw it out.
Right.
But
Well,
I think
that
he's
one-
right. I think Eric is very right. I mean, there's very clear round satellite or microwave dish, and for years downtown, the AT&T building downtown here. That's not the Long Lines building. I'm talking about just the regular
okay.
AT&T here. Yeah, it had all kinds of giant microwave towers. When I was a kid, it did, and it sent microwave. That was a standard band at that time, and there are still a few ham people that have that technology. But definitely, I think that's probably I don't believe that was paranormal. I think Eric made a really good call. I think he got a good catch. I think that was just
definitely
yeah.
not paranormal.
yeah.
But we decided to sit down in there and have a conversation. We put
Mm-hmm.
the K2 down on the table, and whenever we put it into a certain spot on the table, the K2 started to blink and register.
Mhm.
And we move it away, and no activity. We move it back, and I'm like, it's just that one spot on the table. Now, I made Eric look under the table to see if there was anything on the underside of the table, because it was just so precise.
It wasn't constant like the window,
Right.
but there was a lot of activity with it, and it seemed to be responsive to questions.
Uh-huh.
So it was plausible.
Exactly.
And
be
I'll tell
paranormal.
you,
Exactly.
I want to explain this. Microwave communications, if you're on UHF, VHF radio, it only would light up when we were depressing the microphone. And we operate on a public radio service when we have our two ways. But if you're on those, it would only be active when you're depressing. Microwave transmits in packets. So it takes a broadcast, it breaks it down into packets, and I found that this was a good way of making radio and audio signals go further by packet setup. So this thing could have been broadcasting some sort of link system between its other buildings it was going to, and it may have been broadcasting, and that would give it the non-consistent constantly. It'd go back and forth a little bit as the packets were sent. So that makes perfectly good sense for a microwave system.
So, since we really couldn't determine if the K2 was actually hitting on a paranormal,
Yes.
Eric started taking over the questioning. And tell them what happened.
Are you talking? I can't remember the question I asked, and I was like, couldn't really tell if there was somebody there, and I was like, hey, if you want us to stay, it was like, so if you want us to stay, can you
make
light
it
up
go to
the?
orange,
Yeah,
or touch one of the cat balls.
yeah. And I just remember the tripwire because there was a question I asked with the tripwire.
Yeah, because you said if you can't make it to go up to orange, touch one of the cat balls or this tripwire. If you want to walk in front of this tripwire, and immediately the tripwire lights up like somebody's walking right across it. And we'll play that clip because Eric and I just about lose it. I mean,
I did.
I don't normally get super excited, but that got me
Oh, yeah.
super excited.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never had that go off on command like that.
And it was. I mean, it was very responsive because, like I said, we were struggling to say, is there actually someone interacting? But that was just such a direct response.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they lit the K2 up all the way to the orange like we asked.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can't beat that. Okay, so that clip we're going to play right now. Hope you enjoy it.
If you can't make it go to orange, we'll leave the room. We'll let you rest. But it'd be great if you could make it go orange, or make one of the little balls. If you make it go up, or this trip light. If you just walk through here. Wow!
Whoa!
Thank you.
That's
so very much.
amazing.
Oh, thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's orange.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Okay. What did everybody think about that? That was kind of an exciting moment. So.
That was exciting.
Yeah, it was. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up.
So back in March, we had the green room at Ouija
Yes.
museum room camera completely malfunctioned and shut down.
Oh, God, yes, it did.
The Ouija room camera malfunctioned this time.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
We've got missing time. There's a whole, I think, almost an hour missing.
Mm-hmm.
The file starts, you and Tim are in the room.
Yep.
And it's daylight.
Yep.
And then the very next file, the room is empty and it's dark out.
Yeah.
I mean, that time is completely gone.
And we even contacted our camera manufacturer. We have a rep that we talked to. And we told him about it. He says, I don't know how that would work. He says, because the camera, he says, did you check the camera software to make sure you didn't have it set up? Well, the camera software doesn't have you're always recording. All it does is produce an image. So there's no software that tells it to record or not to record. Now, it does have an SD card capable slot on the camera. And we can actually, and these are good when we get to large locations where we can't get enough IP or Wi-Fi to connect to the DVR, then you can always stick a micro SD in it and it will record the entire time it runs. But in this particular case, we couldn't figure out why that happened. It has to be paranormal.
For this missing time?
This particular one, yeah.
Yes.
We think so.
We think so.
Yeah.
The other thing is at timestamp 2248, we get a freeze frame. Just the camera feed freezes. The timestamp freezes.
Mm-hmm.
We have pixelation before the freeze. I mean, after the freeze, and then it freezes again.
Yeah.
The audio continues.
And most of the time we would say that's a mechanical error. It's something the camera's doing. But we can't find any reason why it would. The camera worked fine.
Yeah.
It works flawless.
Yeah. That's not the only
There's
time.
nothing mechanical. And that's certainly
That's not the only time that this camera does that.
Yeah. And we had problems with several cameras losing time. Now, we think some of those may be something, a glitch in the, a ghost in the machine, no pun intended.
Right. Yes.
Glitch. But,
Yes. Because all of them had something weird going on with the timestamp that we think is technical.
True.
With something called an NPS system. We're not going to go into that because I don't understand it. But this particular camera had other glitches within it.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make sense because later on, the timestamp disappears.
Yes.
And then another time, the picture freezes, but the audio.
Yeah, and the
still
timestamp
goes.
should never go away. It's programmed. Once you select it, it doesn't go away. So that.
Right. And then at the very end of the night, when Eric comes up we're tearing down to take the camera off, he walks into the room and he's walking over to pick up the cat ball. And as soon as he passes in front of the camera freezes. The audio is still going. The picture is frozen. And he starts giggling and he goes, I hope you're catching this on the camera.
I know. I was so frustrated.
And he's laughing. And then you come in and he goes, this tripwire is going crazy since I walked in here. And we don't have any of it because the camera.
We got the audio, but we don't have any of the video. Most of the time when you have these kind of problems, it's lack of memory. But we have tons of memory. These cameras don't use anything. I mean, they're basically transmitting directly to the NVR. So, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it does not.
Yeah, I lean towards paranormal on those few instances. But we caught an orb. Now, again, as I said in part one, orbs are kind of fishy to me. But this one actually kind of forms the nucleus as it comes into the frame. And it's really fast.
Yeah.
But it's very evident. And I believe I have some screenshots that I'll put up on Instagram where you can actually see the nucleus form. I took screenshots because it happens so quickly.
Oh, it was, yeah. So we're going to play that real quick so everybody can take a look at it. Go ahead. All right, folks. A couple of things on orbs. Everybody has an opinion on orbs, and they're wide and varied. Go ahead.
kind of like chili recipes.
Yes, yes. You know, my retired
Or
co-founder,
opinions.
or what?
Opinions.
Opinions, yes. You know, he always believed there shouldn't be beans in chili, and I only stuck him in there just to watch him complain when him and I were rooming together. And I tell you what, you know, there it is. And he hated orbs. And for a joke, one Christmas, Heather made him an orb in a bottle, and it's a cotton ball on a string, and I gave it to him as a gift just to annoy him. But we did that because he couldn't stand orbs. He didn't want to talk about them. He automatically threw them out. I don't believe you should throw an orb out. I'll tell you why. Orbs and dust are very hard to tell the difference. Unless you're a seasoned investigator, you're going to have problems with this. But one telltale sign I've always told all the people on my team is when you look at an orb, if it has a nucleus, okay, for those that really struggled in biology, this is going to be a bad day for you. But anyway, for those that understand, if it has a nucleus in the middle and it looks like it's got, that's usually an orb. Dust particles are usually constant throughout the circular shape, and you don't see the nucleus. Also in how they move. Dust tends to float or go by way of whatever airstream there is in the room. If this thing's making 45-degree angles like a UFO, I guarantee you it's not a dust. You know, I don't think it's a UFO either. But anyway, it is definitely an orb. Now, origin of orbs. Yeah, that's a shout out to the guys at MUFON that sent that lady my way that night. Thanks, guys. Anyway, but I do believe that orbs are energy. Are they possibly people or spirits that can't manifest? Yeah, possibly. I mean, are they just, you know, energy in the room? I mean, a lot of times we have some locations that cause problems and they don't really have entities, but they just have negative energy. And maybe this is the energy. Maybe this is the arcing that's coming off of the room's natural battery. I mean, I don't know. That part I can't tell you. But I do believe that they should be included in investigation. I do believe that they do mean something. And I do believe they're made out of energy. Those are the things I do believe. And I think you can tell the difference between, you know, orbs having a nucleus and dust balls not. Now, that does include biologicals that fly in and all that kind of thing. We're not going to get into a big camera situation, but I thought we should point that out just so everyone knows.
Yeah, true.
All right, so at this point, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back after these messages. Okay, folks, we are back, and we're still in the upstairs Ouija room at Monroe, and
In April.
and we're going to talk about the SD session. So, and this is near and dear because I was part of it.
Yeah, go,
Yeah.
go for it. And again, if anybody, those of you who follow us on Instagram, you guys have seen these clips already because
Yeah.
I posted them.
So, and that would be clips 2.4 and 2.5. It was me, and we were. Heather was receiving. I was doing the control, and I believe you were standing by and kind of taking notes. And we were up there, and I don't generally get touched a lot by ghosts. And I don't want to turn this into any kind of sexual innuendo, so all you perverts out there, back off. Anyway, but yeah, generally I don't, and I don't feel things like a lot of other people do. But we're in the room. I'm on the far side of this coffee table, which is a Ouija board coffee table. And Heather and Sierra are sitting on the other side. So there's tripwire between us. And all of a sudden, I feel the hair on my arms stand up like a real heavy static electrical charge, which is common in parapsychology when you're investigating and an entity comes through. And I felt like somebody brushed me. And then right after that, the tripwire lighted up. It lit up to no end. And, this happened more than once. And it was kind of, I felt the temperature drop. Suddenly I detected, I didn't feel a full 10 degrees, but I felt it get cool enough when it came around me. It was brief. And I think that's the reason it never dropped as far as it did, because it was coming around me pretty fast. So, and we went way out on trying to get this SD session going, because I was trying to get everything I could to narrow down who this was we were dealing with. And that room, we noticed up in the ceiling, it looks like it has some of the fire damage, so that's part of the house that apparently was affected by fire. And but we have 2 of those, so we're going to play those for you right now, and then we'll come back and discuss it.
Seemed like an old name, doesn't it?
Even the way that they were like calling.
Yeah. Were you near me earlier? Because I felt really funny. I felt the hairs on my arm stand up. And so were you near me?
All right, so interesting.
Okay, so you say that you don't very often get interacted with.
No, not very often. I mean, there's occasions. The one we always talk about is the one out in Cumberland.
Yeah, but before this,
Mhm.
you and Eric were in the basement.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember what was happening in the basement?
You mean when we thought we were getting hit with rocks?
Well, the cobwebs. You kept talking about
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
You were
yeah.
getting touched.
Yeah, and I didn't.
were
I was
brushing
blowing it
your
off.
hair.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, because
Yeah.
I was more afraid of. I'll tell you, I'm still more afraid of a wolf spider than I am a ghost.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
2 times in the basement, you felt touched. You
Yeah.
even had Eric check your hair for spider webs.
Yeah,
Yep.
I remember this meme. It says, you don't know a thing about martial arts until the first time you walk through a spider web and you become a kung fu master. And that's,
Exactly.
I started thinking, is there something crawling on me? And that's why I asked him to check. Yeah, and I had realized, I guess I was being touched. Something was trying to communicate with me.
Yeah. So then upstairs, you were having the same feeling, and you were mentioning it to Sierra.
Yeah.
And then you asked in the Esses session, was that you coming near me?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep. I remember that part.
the tripwire starts.
Yep. Starts in and goes
It
down the
lights up.
line. Yep.
You get an electric charge on
Yep.
your arms, and then Heather says, yes.
Yeah. That was,
Okay.
yeah.
And then it happens again. You get all the hair stands up.
Yeah.
And then we hear something again, and you're not sure exactly what is said, but Sierra could hear something coming through the headphones. And what did you think you heard?
We, like W-E.
W-E,
Yeah.
that's what you said.
Yeah, because we had a discussion whether it was we as mean multiple people or we as French.
As in
For
French,
yes.
yes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was re-listening to it the second time, because the first time I was like, we, W-E,
Yeah.
okay. And then my French kicked in. I was like, oh, oui.
Yeah.
Oui.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
That
maybe
very
they
well
were
could
saying
be.
yes again.
Mm-hmm.
They
And-
just flip language.
And here's the
Exactly.
problem: we don't know who was renting the place. It could have been someone who's rather fluent. It could have been a.
It could have been John and
exchange.
Mary Berger.
Well, sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do want to tell any spirits out there: don't take it personally if you mess with my hair and I spray you with spider spray. It's not personal.
Spider spray.
Yeah. We actually carry spider spray. I don't know if we've ever used it a lot. And actually, it wasn't me that said we needed it. Someone else did. So if you go through the tripod bag, you'll find 2 cans of spray. One's a hornet spray. I put that in because one time we got into a building, opened the door, and found there was a fairly large wasp nest. And so we carry that in case of emergency. But then the other one we actually have, it's an orange can, and I'm not going to, because the product doesn't sponsor us, so I'm not getting any advertisement free. But anyway, yeah, it's got a big orange can, a big spider on it. And I found out that they don't die immediately when you spray them. It just pisses them off, and they walk away for a while. They die somewhere else. But note to self. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So that
anyway.
was the Ouija room. There's
Yeah.
a couple other clips.
And that was probably the most interaction I've had with a spirit in a long time.
That was
Yeah.
You were
quite
even
bang on.
kind of testing them a little bit. Like, we don't really provoke.
No.
You got closer to that line to the point where Heather actually stopped the session because they kept telling it to stop.
Yeah, I kept trying to see. I was digging so hard because I really felt like we were making a breakthrough and we were getting somewhere. And it had decided it was done for the night, or he or she or whatever the case was. And yeah, she kept telling Heather no. And I kept digging, and I didn't provoke, but I put a lot of pressure.
Yeah, because Heather goes, stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
I think she said stop like 3 times and then
Yeah.
pulled herself out.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
pulled herself out because she goes, all it's saying is stop.
Yeah. And at that point, I realized I might have pushed too far. But there was a lot of neat things we acquired there, I think. But,
And the tripwire went off
Yeah.
all night long. I mean, even after everybody
Yeah.
went to bed.
it became an active room.
Yeah, I've got bangs and tripwires all night long.
And the bad thing is, again, it goes back to we don't know who rented, so we can't really tie that to anything,
right.
without those records. And those records aren't there anymore. I had someone ask me, so why don't you check the county records? Obviously, you don't know how rentals run. That's not how that works. So, okay. So,
Rented it, not bought it.
yeah, exactly.
So there is one thing that I think Eric and I want to discuss.
Okay.
The upstairs little tiny bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have a camera in there. We carried our recorders in when we
Yeah,
went
me and
in.
Tim went in there both times.
Yeah. So I don't know what this room was. If it was it was a tiny
An
bedroom.
example of poor remodeling.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that
it's hard
actually,
to find out exactly what the layout of the house used
Yeah.
to be because I know that there's been a lot of renovation.
I think that was kind of when you came upstairs when they renovated and they changed it, because I think there was a back apartment and a front apartment. And I think the doll room and it were part of the one of 2 upstairs apartments. Because me and Eric talked a
Yeah.
little bit about that when we were upstairs, and Tim. Firemen will always talk about building structure because we have to deal with it when it burns. And, and the problem is one of the most dangerous things is people that make remodeling without notifying the fire department, not getting permits. So we don't know what that inside looks like. And a lot of people get trapped because those walls come down. They're not made to be, they're not code and they're not structural enough that they're safe. And I really think that little bedroom, I think they divided that into a studio apartment. And I think what you had was the doll room and it was 2 bedrooms out of there. Now, I don't know how the bathroom worked because, I don't know. But there's an area there where the dining area is at in the kitchen. I think that all right there, that was all part of that single apartment. And a lot of times, studio apartments for just sleeping rooms didn't have kitchens.
Or there was a kitchenette that had
Yeah.
been long taken out. But yeah, it's very difficult.
And it could be a bathroom there, too. You don't know.
But that little room sits right above the downstairs green.
I know. Where
Ouija room.
Yep.
Okay.
So Eric, when this was your first trip there, so
Yep.
you were going around and looking at everything, and when you went into the Ouija room with Chief for the first time, you had some interesting feelings, and then you called me in.
Yep.
So kind of explain.
Yeah, well, one thing I always like to do is kind of do a baseline, like, hey, let's see if there's K2 activity. Is there bleed off EMF? Is there electrical, whatever? And so I just started poking around, and there was a chandelier in this room, and I kept getting K2s off it. I'm like, was there electricity to this? What is going on? It was like there was a sphere. We figured out there was like a sphere, and above that is this little room you're talking about.
Yeah. So we were only getting a hit high up towards the ceiling. We weren't getting a hit anywhere else. We weren't getting a hit on the chandelier. So you called me in and asked me,
Yeah. What do you,
"What do you feel?"
what do you feel? Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, this area over here by this chair feels a little bit charged, but minorly so." Then we went upstairs to do our walkthrough upstairs, and I went into that little tiny room, into the back corner, and I immediately, all the hair stood up on my arms. And I said, Eric, why don't you come in here?
I walked over to where you were, and it was like, whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And it was so electrically charged. And then I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking about the orientation of the house, and I'm like, Eric, we are right above that room.
Mm-hmm.
And as you were moving the K2, we would get the hits. We would go closer to the floor,
Mm-hmm.
lose them, and went up to the ceiling.
Yep.
So it was like the bubble was between the
Yes.
floor, encompassing both the floor of the second and the ceiling of the first floor.
Yep.
It was so bizarre and so interesting. And I'm like, this could maybe lean towards a portally type vortex
Yep.
situation.
Vortex portal. Yeah.
Yeah, because that room was interesting.
It was charged. It
Yeah.
was really like It was funny because you sat down. There was like an area, and you're like, "Why don't you come over here?" And I'm like, "Oh." It gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Well,
But
we had to leave because
Yeah.
you got a headache.
Yep.
Yeah. So
So.
that was interesting. But then let's come to the big room. Let's come to the big room. Our doll room.
Okay.
Mm.
Switch to the doll room.
Switch
so,
to the doll room.
and this is probably one of the biggest, most talked about rooms in Monroe. I mean, anytime you put enough creepy dolls in, you're always going to get someone's attention. So, okay, so
Especially
we're moving.
Eric's.
Especially what?
Eric's.
Oh yeah,
I
Eric
hate
loves
dolls.
dolls.
I
Yeah.
hate
Eric's favorite things: dolls.
Sorry, can't
clowns.
help it.
Anyway, yeah. It. All right, so we're moving into the doll room.
Yep, moving into the doll room. And we've got some clips from both nights in the doll room. The first one we're going to play
It's from March, yeah,
is from March.
and that's
yeah.
the one I enhanced.
Yes, it's the one you enhanced.
Okay, and we'll talk
And-
about that one after we play it. Let's
Yeah,
play it.
because we all have
Yeah.
varying opinions of what it is. So let's not cloud people's judgments. Let's
Okay.
play it first, and then we can argue and fight afterwards.
Okay, yeah, that's right. and do you want? I'm gonna play the enhanced too. So, folks, you're gonna get several clips here, and we're gonna do the enhanced, so that way you can hear it get better, and then we'll talk about it at the end. So, all right, so listen close. Here we go. All right, folks. So now that you've heard the evidence, now we deliberate the case. Okay, so I'm gonna let Jennifer start out on this.
So when I first heard it, I heard a clicking, like a toy turning on, and then I hear a phrase, the dog goes. That's all I can pick out. And then a click off, like the toy is turned off. So when it got enhanced, Heather hears a different phrase, still about a dog. But like the dog needs supper, or the dog needs to be fed.
All right, honey, jump in there because
Yeah.
you had your opinion, and I thought this was residual when she brought it up.
I said the dog eats its supper or something like that. Dog eat.
Now, my point to it after I enhanced it, it sounded like a mother. Now, anyone, especially Generation X or so, grew up, parents, a lot of times, it sounds like the mother says, come eat your supper, or come feed the dog. And it says, come and eat, and she's very blunt about it. And I kind of thought maybe we're talking about I mean, it's a kitchen up there, outside the doll room. I'm kind of wondering if this is a residual sound from one of the renters we picked up, that, she's telling the kids, sit down and eat your food, telling them feed the dog. I mean, that's where I came off on it. So that's, we did, and as you heard, we enhanced it several times. So, Sarah, what do you think?
I don't think I ever really had a strong opinion on this one.
Okay, and some people, it's hard to tell. Some
Yeah.
people can listen and say, I know Tim said he couldn't really make much out of it. So, Eric?
Well, I'm trying to figure out the timeline of this because we took the K2 into that room and we chased something.
This was the March.
Oh, this is the March
Yeah,
one.
Yeah, that's where you were
okay.
here. Yeah.
And this was very early on in the
Oh, very early. Yeah.
very early. Like the timestamp is 1927.
I mean, for the most part, we were getting settled.
Yeah, we really were.
Okay.
But it really sounds like a click. And you know those old Poland speaks? The cow
Yeah,
goes,
yeah.
"Ooh."
So was it?
What was the name of those? Yeah,
The
Speak? No, no.
yeah.
it's not speak and spell.
Yeah,
Speak
that,
and
We
say.
can say
Speak and say. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like to me. But those don't click. But this sounds like something clicks on and a mechanical voice is saying, the dog goes, and then it clicks off.
And maybe it's a residual. I mean,
Yeah,
we
because
should
there's
probably
I
charge
checked
Fisher
in
Price
April,
for this. I think that's who made that. Anyway,
and there's no toy up there
Yeah.
that makes
No.
anything like this.
The doll room, for those who don't know, there's tons of dolls. Some are out where you can touch them. Some are behind cases. We're going to talk about one in particular here shortly. And then there's a large mannequin they shoved in a corner. And then you have a window air conditioner, which I think that we shut down. That was in during the summer. I think they actually take it out in the winter.
That damn mannequin was putting off EMF when
No
I was
kidding.
testing it. Yeah.
Yeah. When we went up in April, it was off the charts.
Wow.
I mean,
To the point where I thought there was.
I didn't realize that was
There-
doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, because in March after that happened,
Yes.
we get some bangs and some footsteps and doors, but
Mm-hmm.
I have to chalk most of that up to our activity.
Yeah. And what we had deployed during the first visit was radically different than in April.
Yeah.
In April, we had Spirit Bear up there. We had a music box up there. Now, in March, we just had a music box.
That's it.
That was it. There was
That
no
was it.
cat balls. There was nothing. And
Right.
it really never went off much except for when we were in the room.
Right. Now there's a couple times where I think I hear squeaking,
Mm-hmm.
but the stroller or the pram that's
Yeah,
up
there is a stroller. I'm sorry. There's a Victorian stroller
yeah,
up
but
there.
it was under the camera, so
Yeah.
I can't see if it's moving.
moving or not.
I don't
yeah.
know if that squeaking is, so I just threw it out because I really couldn't tell.
And I want everybody to know there's no such thing as getting the perfect camera angle. No matter what you do, you'll always miss something.
Yep.
It just comes with the program. And
Absolutely.
there was actually in April we put Spirit Bear in the actual the carriage.
Spirit Bear was inside
Yeah.
the carriage in the doll room,
So-
and April, the doll room was extremely active.
Yes.
When Eric and I went up there, Eric, let's go for it.
Well, yeah. So I walk in and it was a continuation of the whole K2 sweep, and we're going around the room, and that that was my first time there, and I really didn't.
You were trying to get it all absorbed
Yeah,
in.
and the mannequin was putting off EMF, and I'm just like, what is this thing doing? What is it? And it
Note to self: don't take the mannequin home.
Oh no!
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
and it started moving down the line, and there was a point on the bookshelf where we were asking questions. I wish I could replay that session because it.
And we could, except I am standing right in front of the camera.
Oh.
Oh
It
dear.
doesn't get. We know what's happening. You can hear the audio, but you can't see it because I'm right. in front
And
of
that
the camera
happens.
angle.
I mean, I'm one that's notorious for it. I don't know how many times.
And I realized after the fact,
Yeah.
so I moved, but
And we may not have had someone
Well-
looking at it at the time downstairs. Usually, the radio will crack, and usually it's me, and it goes, "Chief, you're in front of the camera." And I don't know how many times I've heard that phrase. And you think I get better at it, but I don't. But it happens. So it's like the one where it froze on you in the Ouija room. It just happens.
Yeah. Well, and it was interesting because later in the evening, I went back with the K2 meter. None of those spots were hot.
yeah, which is very telling,
Mm-hmm.
extremely telling. But some of the best audio clips came from the doll room.
Yes.
So this first one we're going to play.
Now this is in April. I want to make sure everybody understands.
Yes.
We're moving into April.
Yes, this is in April, and April just happened to fall on the fourth Sunday when we were there, and
Yep.
that's our meeting day. So
Yep.
we decided to have a quick little meeting in the command
Yeah.
center. We are all seated down in command center, and this clip is 30 seconds long, and there's actually two of them. We'll just play the one, I think, that's labeled footsteps. I'll put the other one up on the Instagram with it, but for right now, let's just play the one footsteps.
Okay, here we go, folks. All right, folks. Could you hear the footsteps? I mean, I could.
Those are loud.
Yeah, it sounds like
crystal
boot
clear.
steps. I mean, it really
Yeah,
does.
It's
And
a really heavy foot.
Yeah, and I wear a military style combat boots, military proof, but I wear them because they have wonderful support and they help out with circulation and so forth when you're when you're tired at night. And so, but that wasn't us. I mean,
No, because I was sure it was one of us. So I was going around to the cameras to find out who it was, to chart in my notes who was walking so I could debunk it.
yes,
And when I go downstairs to camera 5 and I see we're all sitting down,
yeah, there goes that out the window.
I got excited.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I was excited.
Yeah. I mean, Monroe holds a lot of secrets, and it likes to play in rooms where we're not. And when we're not, and I think at the end of this, we cover, the guy sleeping, and that's going to be fun. I don't want to get to there before we get there. But anyway, so, all right. So, is our next one we're talking about Spirit Bear a little bit?
Yeah, Spirit Bear.
Yeah, go ahead. Now, let me tell you, Spirit Bear is a stuffed bear, and actually, I'm not going to, because I don't want to upset anybody. We actually originally bought the bear off of a company that was supposed to detect EMF, and it was horribly made and never really worked right. And it got shoved in a lot of cases. We've owned it since, I would say, 2009. And so our son of Sid, our secret agent, electrical engineer, he went through and redone this. And it responds to EMF now.
Yeah,
And
it's basically a trigger object REM pod.
It's a trigger object. It's wired with an EMF meter, like a REM pod, and it goes off. It creates its own field. So if you get near it, it will go off.
Yep.
And it's become one of the more substantial pieces of equipment that's fantastic, and we're real lucky to have him to do this equipment. So it's worked out real good. I mean, I've had a lot of people I can brag to when we're meeting with other people in these Paracons. Go, oh, yeah, we have our own electrical engineer, and so that's always good to put out there.
He also did our cigarette boxes.
Yes, he did cigarette, and we have these cigarette boxes work the same way.
Yep.
They're EMF. They create their own field like a REM pod. And, if you're going into a prison, the two things you want, you bring in a deck of cards, a pack of cigarettes, and a bottle of booze, and you sit down, you'll get a lot more response.
Because you always want trigger objects.
You want trigger objects, and these do fantastic. So he did a fantastic, and we actually, ours has it's kind of a shout out to, is Morey Cigarettes, which shouts out to the X-Files.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the Smoking Man. Morley. I'm sorry. Morley Cigarettes. It goes back to Smoking Man, which I thought was kind of cool all the way around. So, all right. So go ahead and take over. And
so at timestamp 22:56, 11, and
Yep.
22:56:22.
And what time was that?
22.
So it's 10 o'clock.
Military time.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
10:56.
Yeah, 10:56. So almost 11 o'clock.
Yep. Within 10 seconds of each other, the bear goes off twice in an empty room.
Nobody there. Yep.
I mean, these bears have been around us when we're doing walkies. The bears do not go off to walkie action.
Yeah.
It just does not happen.
We found out now the only piece of equipment we have that responds to, we have PIR heads, which are motion detector heads,
and our
those
REM pods.
and our REM pods. REM pods, oh my God, they go ape
That's
when we
the
hit
other
those.
thing.
Yeah.
To have all these cameras, the REM pods will go off, and if you don't check other cameras, you don't know that REM pod is going off
Yeah,
in the walkie
very,
action
very,
unless
very,
you check
very,
everything else, which is why my notes are so important.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've got walkie action,
Yeah.
and I can line them up.
It makes a big difference. It really, and again, it's like I always told people, if you don't document it and you don't have photos, it didn't happen.
Right.
Or recording or your video. I mean, that's just how it works.
Yeah. So I was reviewing at home, and Son of Sid happens to be my husband, y'all.
Yeah.
But
Not supposed to give out
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
The bear goes off. He hears it, and he goes, "Is that my bear?"
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Do that again."
Yeah.
He got a kick out of that, and he is super skeptic. I mean, he
Mhm.
is the top-notch skeptic of all time.
Yeah.
But this got him excited to see the bear go off in a completely empty room. He knows how this thing works. He knows
Yeah.
what has to do to trigger it, and it triggered in a completely empty room
Wow.
twice.
That says a lot right there.
Yeah.
I mean, we of course, dolls, and I've told the stories about some others, and I mean, but that room, that night, the footsteps alone should have been active, but I think that was part of a separate apartment. I really do. So,
Possibly.
yeah.
Possibly.
So, all right. So,
And that room wasn't done.
No,
That room was not
we got
done
the beeps.
yet.
Yeah.
So there are 4 beeps.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they're from. It doesn't make any
We
sense.
never could figure that out
Yeah,
because it's.
Did we go in the room and like try to look in all the cabinets?
Yeah, we
try
did.
to look around?
We did this search. You and I think Tim was involved. We tried to figure out something that would make that sound, and I mean I never could figure that out. It
It sounds like a smoke detector, but
yeah. It kind of, to me, it sounds like, okay, I got a tablet, and I bought it because I thought we were going to use it a lot, and then we never really do. It sits upstairs, and it's mainly what I call my old man's accessory. Anytime I think that the screen on my phone's too small, I want a bigger screen, I grab that tablet to look at eBay or whatever, or Amazon or whatever site I'm looking at. But when that thing gets low, it makes a very unique beep. And this is kind of a unique beep. It wasn't that beep. And we didn't have that tablet up there. I want to point that out. But, I mean, it has a very unusual beep. So, I tell you what, we're going to play. There's 4 clips in there.
no, there's just one clip.
Just one clip? Okay.
4
okay.
beeps.
4 beeps. Okay, I got it backwards. Okay. So, we're going to play that clip and let everybody take a look at it and see what they think. And again, if you think you know this or know what it is, put it on social media. Come to our Facebook page, post that, and let us know.
Yeah,
okay.
let us know if
Yep.
Phil or Michael, if you guys.
Because we
heard
never
this
could.
before.
Yeah, we never could figure it out. Me and Eric and Tim went up there, and I don't know what it was. I really don't. Okay, so here we go. All right, folks. So now we're going to talk about, this is another one of these kind of controversial things in the doll room. And both Jennifer and Sierra has done most of the work on this, and they've dealt, we actually, in the doll room, there is a doll that is in a lock cabinet that has a music box capable. It was placed there by Dillard Paranormal, and it was Project August, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to let you're going to read. I actually took a picture of the paper that's framed there, the notice telling you about this doll. So I'm going to let you take over that, Sierra.
Yeah, I'm just going to read what they have on their
Okay.
website. So, first of all, who is Dillard Paranormal? They are an Indiana-based research team that is passionate about uncovering the deepest secrets of the paranormal in a way that is genuine and real. So their project is Project August. It's a collaborative paranormal experiment utilizing a porcelain doll equipped with a wind-up music box, placed in a touch-free case to enhance the integrity of the experiment. The purpose of this is to bring the paranormal community together with a single piece of research equipment provided by us in a house at the infamous Monroe house, or in a house at the infamous Monroe house. The motivation behind this experiment is simple. We had an unexplained night of experiences with our Monroe house's very own August doll on our first visit. She blew our minds. We ask that anyone who investigates and has any experience with August to send us footage and evidence. We will then post that evidence with your permission to one of our social media platforms.
All right, so there you go. So, and I believe Eddie winds this thing up each time for each group going in. So we had seen it before in March, but didn't have any activity to
Nope.
report out of it.
Nope.
But yet,
Actually, to be quite honest,
yeah,
after reviewing, this was one of the last cameras.
mm-hmm.
Not the last camera, but one of the last.
Yes,
And I was kind of getting mind blind, you know what I mean?
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I started just stopping each camera at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the cameras rolled for another 2 hours. So
Yeah.
I moved on to the next camera so that I could just have a fresh something to look at.
And I'll tell you, when you're reviewing this evidence, I want to point this out real quick, and I don't want to interrupt, but
Yeah.
You know, people don't understand. When we do our recruiting, one of the things I show when we're recruiting new members, we show them a Delta faucet from a case back in like 2000 that is supposed to turn itself on, and it's only 4 hours of footage. But when you have to sit there and watch that for 4 hours, that's why we have 2 people do it. You can burn out real easily, and you know, when you get to a point you're not getting anything, there's a lot of point your mind tends to wander. You start
Exactly.
thinking about the deck you're redoing, you start
Yep.
thinking about bills, whatever the case is.
Right.
You go somewhere else.
And you
So
might miss
it's very
something.
fatiguish.
Yeah, it is. So I was like, okay, I'm stopping at 4 o'clock on this camera. I've got to get a fresh screen to look
Yeah.
at. So then I went back to get the last 2 hours of all the cameras, and I wasn't expecting to get a darn thing because
Yeah.
the house had gone pretty much
Quiet.
quiet. I
Mhm.
mean, every camera at this time is just quiet.
Mhm.
And then at 5:30, 5:36, we get this clip, and I'm just going to let Chief play.
Okay. So, folks, this is it. I want you to concentrate. Tell me what you think it is. Do you think it's a music box? Do you think it's music in general coming from some other source? I mean, we really want to know what you think. So here we go. All right. You've all heard it. You've heard the clip. So what do you think? Again, you go to social media, let us know. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so first off, I got extremely excited. I was like, oh my God, we caught the doll.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, okay, no, pull back. Let's be realistic about this. What is this? And so
Mhm.
I played it like 4 or 5 more times. And I'm like, okay, there are trains. Okay, maybe this is the train.
Yeah, and we didn't have it in March, but in April we had
In
trains.
April, we had trains all night long.
Trains and trains.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, go find a clip of a train. Well, because of my notes,
Mhm.
I know where the trains are. So
Sure.
I went to go find a clip of the train. You can hear the train come in the distance, and I'm going to grant you that the very first inkling of a train does sound extremely musical because there was another clip that I thought was music, and it was the train coming in.
Mhm.
But the train gets louder and louder, and you can definitely hear the train whistle, and
Mhm.
then it fades out again. This clip doesn't do that. This clip is shorter than the other train clips. So I had my family listen to it because they're true skeptics.
Mhm.
And they're like, that's not a train. That sounds like a music. That sounds like a harmonica. That sounds like something. And so I'm like, okay. So then I'm like, we have to contact Dillard Paranormal because I don't know what August sounds like. I just
Mhm.
know she's musical, but I don't
Yeah.
know if this is her music or not.
Mhm.
So we reached out to Dillard, and I also reached out to Pam and Eddie because Dillard didn't respond right away, and I
Mhm.
knew I wanted to get their response before we did this. And then Sierra also reached out to them on TikTok.
Mhm.
Now, I sent the clip to Pam and Eddie, and they came back immediately and said, that's not a train.
Yeah.
That sounds musical.
Okay.
And then Sierra gets a response back from Dillard, and what was their response?
Theirs was, I hear her at 39 seconds into the video. It's a different sound than the train for sure. Then I hear birds chirping through the rest of the video. Great capture.
Yep.
So they think it's her.
They think it's her.
They think it's her, too.
Okay.
And then I also sent it, I posted it online,
Yes.
and I gave it to Phil Gibson because I know he had just been there recently.
Yes.
And I asked his opinion. I said, I want to make sure before we put this out there that I am not getting overly excited on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And he listened to it, and he's like, no, that's not a train. I think you've caught the music. And I said, well, Dillard Paranormal says that they hear their doll in there.
Yes.
And so I was getting pretty confident. And then I look up in our messages, and on Facebook message, Michael Diddy Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
guy who did the documentary Evil Unearthed, messaged us about the video, and he finds it intriguing because he has also caught piano playing with a lady singing on audio and
Mhm.
video in that room. So Michael even finds this intriguing. And Michael is probably the one man who has investigated this house more than any other investigator, I think.
Yes.
And it's not something, if it was something natural or if it was a train, he would be the first one to say, no, that's explainable.
Mm-hmm.
But this audio clip has intrigued him. And just as we were talking earlier, Philip has caught something similar.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys want to go check out his page. He's got some really interesting audio too. So I think we've actually caught a really, really good paranormal clip here.
Yeah, I do too. When I heard it, I felt it was a music box. I know you and I talked about it on the phone or and through texting, and I really felt like, because I knew that wasn't our music boxes. I know the tune it plays.
Exactly.
And that wasn't us. So, I mean, Eric, you want to weigh in?
I need to re-listen to it.
That's fair.
It's been a while. I mean,
yeah, it's what, July now, and this was in April?
Yeah. So, well, I tell you what, let's take a quick commercial break. I'm going to play it for everybody. And then while we're on commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll finish this discussion, okay? So let's go to break. We'll be back after these messages. All right, folks. This is an interesting file. We actually listened to it. So I'm going to play a clip of the train because there's a big skepticism and a big opinionation that, the train may be part of this. So I want you to see the difference between the train and the music box. So we're going to play the train now. All right, folks. So there's the train sound. Now, Eric?
yeah, the beginning of the first clip,
Yes.
where we're trying to decide what it is. The sound of it sounds very similar, but there's a melody that's not the train horn.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so similar. It's
The resonation was catching me.
Yeah.
On the first half, when you listen to the beginning of the clip, there's a resonation there, and it sounds like a mechanical metal music box. I mean, it really does to me. And you can hear a bit of a melody. Now, as it goes along, it fades out. And it sounds like it could be a dozen different things. But that first initial, to me, is the clearest music box sound in my mind. So
Exactly. And that was the thing I was having the issue with, was
Yeah.
at the end, it sounds so train-like.
yes,
But then when you pull the train clip sounds like a train.
exactly.
It
Exactly.
doesn't sound like this clip.
Heather, you're the only one who hasn't weighed in. You want to put an opinion in on this?
To me, it sounds musical
Yeah.
at the beginning.
Okay. Anybody else before we wrap up on it? And we like I said, we did contact Dillard. They did come back, and they said that it was their music box. They recognized the sound to be their music box. So, and they told us it was a good catch, and so we're going off what they told us because we don't know what the music. Most music boxes play a tune, okay, and ours plays one, and I'll be the first one, and I'm embarrassed to say I don't know what it is. So we need to figure it out, but we'll find that out. We'll find out what that tune is because I
It's
didn't
just
think
an MP3 random.
it may just be a random. Yeah, it's just a random
it is.
tune.
I picked the spookiest.
Oh, you picked it? Okay, it's nice. I like
picked
it.
the spookiest
Yeah.
clip I could pick.
Well, yeah. What's the one they always play on pipe organ? It's It's the most famous haunted clip, and it's actually part of classical music. I'll have to think about it, but anyway.
Toccata and fugue.
Yes, and yeah, and that's it's kind of like that. So I mean, but this clip I can't make anything out. So maybe they use the same thing. I don't know, but it's certainly I think it's a good catch. I really do. So
It's interesting.
yeah. Now,
It really is.
as we close out the doll room, anybody got anything else before we go to the command center?
Nope. Let's finish
Okay,
up
so
with the
this is
command
it,
center.
folks. In the command center, this is a guy thing. I can actually say that's a guy thing because we were sleeping in there, me, Tim, and Eric, and we have cots that we sleep in. So we all have cots, and sometimes to sleep over at a place, it's easier to use cots. And I tell you what, this is not the Hilton, folks. You haven't lived. I mean, if you've been in the military, you already know you're fine. Yeah, I mean, it's that kind of sleeping. And, even if you don't sleep in cots, it's the same thing. You sleep where you can, and you get what rest you can. That's just part of a paranormal investigation.
But they've
so.
got the best bathroom I've ever seen.
Oh God, yes.
That bathroom's nice.
It's clean. It's modern. I
Shower's
mean,
nice.
if I wanted to shower somewhere in a haunted location, I'd choose this.
Yep.
'Cause I've seen a lot that I would not. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
I don't know about a haunted shower.
Yeah. But yeah, it's actually a very nice. The upstairs bath is what we're talking about. It's renovated. Downstairs nice too, but the upstairs has a shower. It's very nice and it's available. You can shower there if you like. So let's set this up a little bit. There's 3 of us in the room, okay, and this goes into actually April because March we didn't catch anything. There was nothing we had, but in April, the girls they were sleeping in this back bedroom near the blue room. And so they're quite a ways from us, and they've got a radio. If they need emergency, they can hit us up. And we still have command center running. We've got the monitor screen up. We can see the cameras and whatnot. So there's 3 beds, okay? Tim is the closest to the door that will come in question in this situation. And he has his feet to that door, so he has a vested interest here. I'm in the middle, and then Eric is on the other side of me. Now, I and Tim have our feet facing the door. Eric has his head down there toward the door closest to the kitchen. I and Eric wear glasses, and I tell you what, the first thing I remember distinctly before I went to bed, I was trying to find a place to put my glasses. There's 3 things in life I'm hard on: jewelry, phones, and my glasses. And we actually, when Heather orders my glasses, she orders 2 to 3 sets because that's what it'll take me to get through the year. And I will trash a set pretty quick. It's just and so anyway, we always try to find a place. I usually carry a case I can put them in. So we're laying down, and what time do we go to bed? Do we have that on the log?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's, what is it, about?
3-ish, 4.
Yeah.
Actually, we all laid down about 3:30.
Yeah, and it was late.
You guys don't settle down for.
Not right away.
Yeah.
Actually, Tim is looking for something. I can't remember what it was, but he first was fooling with the G2, and we have 2 different spirit boxes. We have an actual G2 and we have a different brand, and he was fooling with it, and then he was looking at the cameras, and when we finally got and actually Eric was sporting his new cot. and as he put it, it's a big boy cot, and it actually has a wonderful mattress. Ours don't have mattresses; they're just cots. And he had a really nice sleep system set up. So we get this all set up, and there's a portable air conditioner that's wired through the window, and of course some of these the hallway right outside the door has some plastic, and sometimes when the wind gets up outside, it causes it to suck the plastic out and then to blow it forward, and it makes some noise. So we're used to that. We knew that from when we were there before. So we're laid out. And at some point, I'm on my phone, actually. I think I cleared my email, looking for something to do to make me sleepy. And I might have been watching a YouTube video without sound or something. Who knows? I was doing something on the phone. Tim had already kind of dozed a little bit. Eric was out. And all of a sudden, I hear, and this is a door going to the upstairs, I hear someone rattle the doorknob. And I look up. You can see me in this video, and I'll look up immediately. And Tim, he woke up and heard it. And he looked over at me, and before I could say much, I said, "Did you hear that?" He says, "Yes, I heard that." And, of course, he's very interested because his feet's right there by the door. And this isn't the first time we heard it.
Nope.
So let's just play the first clip, what do you say?
Yep.
And let them get an idea, and then we can take it from there. So we're going to play the very first clip. So, again, watch. You'll see on the left side is Tim. I'm in the middle, and Eric's on the right. So, and the door in question's in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. So here we go. Okay, so the next one we're going to play, and you can hear this. I mean, you can hear the doorknobs, and we're, for whatever reason, I couldn't sleep that night, and I was messing around my phone. After I run out of email and I run out of YouTube, I can't understand without sound. I usually move to Amazon and eBay. But anyway, I was messing around trying to get drowsy, and once again we hear this sound. So we're going to play this clip for you again. Again, someone messing with that doorknob.
Right, correct.
Here we go. Okay, so there it is. Kind of creepy, to know something's messing with the door in the room you're sleeping in. So, but it didn't seem to disturb Eric.
Nope.
Nope. Yeah, he was good with it. So anyway, I got to pick on everybody. But I mean, I snore too, and I normally you would hear me and him both snoring if I got sleep. I just couldn't get sleep that night. It had nothing to do with him snoring. I could sleep right through that. I don't know why. I didn't have any feelings. There was nothing there of dread. I just couldn't get sleep, and I have that at the house here. I mean, it happens occasionally. So but there was something else, and I want Eric, because it happened to Eric. And when I've looked through these, and this is the thing I looked through, I put my glasses on the couch above my head, and you can't really see that because of where the camera's at. Where did you put your glasses at?
That's what I can't remember. I was thinking I put them on the floor.
No, I know exactly where you put them.
Were they up on the desk next to me?
No, they were on the floor.
Floor, yeah, underneath your cot.
Your cot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I remember you saying that's where you're going to put them.
Yeah.
Because Tim told me, he said, put them on the mine. He told me, he said, put them on the couch. They'll be fine.
So they were fine when we went when we laid down. I had used I don't wear contacts, so I have to have glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the next morning when we're getting ready to go upstairs and start tearing down.
Yeah.
I just remember my glasses look so smeared.
Yeah.
I can hardly see out of them, and that's when we had torn down. We were getting ready to get in the car, and Sierra was in the truck with me, and I was like, my glasses are scratched.
Yeah.
And so it was funny.
And there's no way that could. I mean, you can look at the video. I mean, you obviously can't look at all of it. We did. There's no, you didn't pick them up. You didn't scoot the cot over them. I mean, they were perfectly safe thing on the ground.
I tried to watch to see if anything happened over there, and I didn't notice anything.
No, I'm.
And what did you find out when you had them warranted? They were not only scratched, but.
So that's what I'm getting there.
Yeah.
So I went to the eye doctor, and they were like, well, how come you're not wearing your old glasses? I was wearing a pair from like 2 times ago. And I was like, well, it's going to sound weird, but I was on an investigation and they got scratched. And they're like, what kind of an investigation? I was like, well, I'm kind of a paranormal investigator. And we were there, and they were like, well, we'll warranty them, but tell us more about this. And so I was like,
oh, yeah.
Well,
the first thing you need to listen to Ghost to Ghost. It's on all the popular formats.
So we're talking about it, and they're like intrigued by this story. So I turned them in for warranty. And when they came back, they said, did you know they were scratched on the inside too?
So they were scratched on the outside
and inside.
Yeah.
So even if I had put them down
and you rolled over them or moved them, how did you get it on the inside?
They were scratched on both, and that's why I had such trouble seeing out, because they were scratched.
Well, I remember you telling me, because I told you, I said, well, I have some lens cleaners in there in my bag. Just grab one of the lens cleaner packages, and we went on down. We had no idea they were actually scratched.
Yes.
I mean, scratched on the inside is almost impossible.
Right.
Because if you were tired and you took
especially
them off,
inside and outside together.
Well, if he had put them face down, so the lenses were on the ground, that could explain if somehow they got jostled, they scratched across dirt.
Sure.
Okay. But if you fold them and put them upside, so the glasses are up and the folded side is down, you cannot scratch the inside of the lens.
No. No, there's no way.
That's intriguing.
Not unless you took a piece of cloth or something and done that, like, SOS pad or something like that. Yeah.
But that's the thing.
Still
I didn't have any cleaning products with me, and they were fine when I went to sleep.
Yeah.
When I got up the next morning, that's when I noticed they were cloudy, because they were so scratched.
Well, the other thing, if you look at the scratches, there's 3 scratches in a row.
I know.
Yeah.
Just like you would get on the body. 3 scratches.
Yep.
And anybody, again, I say this.
And we don't.
You've been following us on Instagram.
Yeah.
You've seen the glasses.
Yeah.
You've seen the scratches.
Yeah, and the scratches when you look and there's one lens there's a few, but what I did not show and I didn't realize is they were on the inside too.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I mean, and mine weren't touched for whatever reason. They were on the sofa. Nobody touched them. I remember because these actually are not the set. This is I've already changed out. But I'll be honest. I mean, that's big. I mean, it really is, because we can't explain it.
Yeah, well, and that's the whole thing. I was like, I'm trying not to say it's paranormal. I had to at some point bump them. They were on there, but that was funny when they gave them back to me. They said, "You do realize they were scratched on the inside too?" And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, that right there does it. That's our 2 investigations.
Okay, I got one thing I'll bring up toward the end. I warned some people about this earlier, but a couple weird things happened. When we came back, normally what happens is we come back and we verge at the crypt. The crypt is where we're housed out of, and that's where our gear is housed out of. So we came in that day, and that day was a day they were predicting horrible storms. And we got ahead of them. We got in, and everybody's cars parked, and we start getting their equipment out and packed in their vehicles so they can send them home safely to go to bed, because most everybody goes to bed when they get in. I and Heather go to bed, and we walk the dog and all that kind of thing, and so we can get into bed. And we knew this was coming in, so we wanted to get some sleep in before it came in. While we sent everybody else off, we told them, said, don't worry about the gear. We'll unpack the gear ourselves. And we roll a cart out. We roll the van into a garage. And oddly enough, not far from where we were at in the garage, there is a bathroom. Our downstairs bathroom is near there. And all of a sudden, I hear this music playing as we're unloading the car. And I thought, what the hell is that? And it's not my kind of music. It wasn't really, I couldn't tell if it was rap or what it was, but it wasn't anything I would listen to. And I couldn't figure out why it was playing in the bathroom. So I walked to the bathroom, and we have Alexas there, and we had this Alexa. And so I thought, okay, I asked Alexa, I said, why are you playing music? There was a pause, and she says, because you asked me to. And we hadn't even went in that bathroom. I mean, we were just unloading the gear from the van, and it was adjacent to that because we have a downstairs area in our home, and that's where the crypt is located. But it was very odd. And then, you start thinking, did we say enough protection prayers when we left? Now, I want to emphasize to every group, ensure before you enter a residence that you say the protection prayer, and make sure when you leave, before you leave the residence, you say it so you leave things behind. You don't want to bring those kind of house guests home. And something very odd happened, and I'll even put a picture up, and I can't correlate this, so I almost thought about not mentioning it. But we've been here about 2 years now. We bought the house in 2024. And I was coming upstairs from downstairs shortly after this happened, and I noticed a electrical receptacle on a wall in our mudroom smoking. And it was adjacent to a receptacle going to the kitchen. And I mean, there's smoke pouring out of it. And as a fireman, I immediately panic. I go around the corner, and it turns out the receptacle opposite it, which are wired together, is to the kitchen. And my wife is fixing dinner. Heather's fixing dinner in the microwave. And it's where the microwave plugs into. And it's an overhead built-in microwave. Immediately, we shut the microwave off. I run downstairs. I kill the power. And I pull the plug, and I come to find out the plug was melting. It was on fire. It would have been a house fire if I hadn't caught it when we did. And I talked to an electrical engineer, not Son of Sid, but I talked to an electrical engineer. And I brought him in, and I said, he's another buddy of mine. And I said, how did this happen? Well, we established that the guy that changed the receptacle itself had not put it on properly. And it was actually not secured properly. And it created almost the effect of having an electric heater. The problem I have with this is that was done like 3 years ago before we moved in. So we've lived here, as of right now, as of this month, it's 2 years. So at that point in time, we lived here a year and a half. So that's 4.5 years that was not installed properly, but it didn't fail.
And we had just came from a house that has a history of fires.
Exactly, a history of fires. And what was one of the many things I dealt with in the SD sessions were talking about fires. And were you in the fire? And being a fireman. And oddly enough, now I've repaired it, and we went on down the road, and we've certainly started checking other outlets, make sure the same guy that did the work didn't do any others. But
This just clicked.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe they were picking on you because they knew you were a fireman?
Could be. Maybe they thought I'd catch it, so it was safe to do something like that to get to my attention.
Or even in the house,
Well,
because
yeah.
they were coming after you with like they were touching you.
Yeah,
So
and it
maybe-
could be. It maybe it had something. Maybe there's an arson case involved there that
Well,
we don't know about.
I distinctly remember watching the March
Mhm.
video and this last time. Anytime we talked about fire, there was some sort of response.
Yeah.
Yeah, precisely.
So it makes you wonder. Maybe our arsonist was one of the tenants. Now I will say I don't think they're still here. If that was actually something we brought home, it's not here. At least, God, I hope it is not. We went through cleansing and everything. And matter of fact, we have a subject matter expert that's a minister, that's Eric's wife. And we've talked about doing maybe smudging also when we come back from a place to make sure
Yeah.
we're not bringing guests back home with us. But and that's the whole team, so everybody goes to their family safely. I got to be honest. In 30 years of investigating, I've never had that happen till now. But it was definitely an earth-shattering moment. It was an awakening moment, and I've posted as we're talking here. I posted that receptacle so you can see it. And the electricians out there, oh yeah, the loop was off, and this is what. Yeah, but tell me why it took it 4.5 years to manifest to actually catch fire.
It's interesting.
Yeah, because we use the microwave all the time. I mean, I'll be honest with you, we're and so it's never had a problem till now.
Just us.
Yeah, it's just us. So I mean, we use it a lot, and I mean, I don't mean that in a bad
once or
way. I
Twice
mean,
a week and then reheat.
yeah, my wife can cook, and she makes tons of stuff. Then we reheat all. So for 4 years, this thing was used. 3 years when the people had it before us, plus the 1.5 years we had it, and never failed. But that after we came back from there. So it's something to think about. I mean, the only thing I'll say is, folks, when you're investigating, please, please, please be careful with that.
Yeah.
Make sure you're doing the proper guards and the proper, and you can smudge yourself. Get a smudge stick, and there's ways of doing that. If you need help, let us know on social media or email us at info@spiritindiana.com. We'd be more than happy to tell you. But these things you got to watch for. So, all right. Well, folks, that is it. We have finished part 2 of the Monroe House After Action Report. As you know, every investigation we do an after action, and there's going to be some coming down the pike. We have some at Randolph. We have one at the Rotary Jail, so there's more coming in. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy our style of investigating. I hope that, certainly if you have questions or anything, feel free to post them on social media. We have an email, info@spiritindiana.com. We have a website, www.spiritindiana.com. Reach out to us. I mean, and we'd be more than happy to try to assist other groups. Again, we can't thank you enough. And certainly let us know your opinions on social media. So, and please, 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 pass it out to friends. Let them know. Listen to Ghost to Ghost. So that's all I have. So, folks, we're going to go to the ghost story of the day, and we will see you soon.
There is a story concerning a call to a local police station claiming a woman was up in Step Cemetery crying. Police arrived and heard the crying too. But when they reached the cemetery, the crying suddenly stopped and the cemetery was found to be empty. Who the woman in black weeps for is unknown. Some say it is one of her children who is buried in the cemetery. In other variations, her child is not buried here, but instead was murdered inside the cemetery and her body left behind. In this version, the ghostly woman is weeping over the loss of her child as she sits and waits to see if the murderer returns to the scene of the crime. Yet another variation says that the woman is crying over the loss of her husband, a local construction worker who was killed while working and later buried at Step. Another ghost said to haunt Step Cemetery is known as Baby Lester, the name deriving from a headstone in Step marked simply Baby Lester, 1937. Originally, it was thought that the woman in black was Baby Lester's mother, which turned out not to be true when Lester's mother, Ophelia Walls, was found to be very much alive. She passed away in 2001. But that did not stop people from hearing the cries of a baby in the cemetery late at night. It is also not uncommon to find Baby Lester's grave covered with coins and other small trinkets that have been left behind by cemetery visitors as a tribute. One final ghost story, and a later addition to the game, says that there are a couple of giant black dogs that roam the cemetery grounds at night, protecting it from all who might enter and try to vandalize the sacred ground. The dogs are said to walk around the perimeter of the cemetery, sticking mainly to the woods. They seem to be able to sense when people are there to cause harm, and will come charging into the cemetery with their eyes sometimes glowing a fiery red.
You're listening to Ghost. We thank you very much for your patronage. Thanks for listening to Ghost. Again, I'm your host, Chief Lawson. You can find Ghost on all major formats on the 15th and 30th of the month at midnight. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, maybe have a question or subject you'd like to ask about on air, or be used on the show, please email us at ghosttoghost@spiritindiana.com, ghosttoghost@spiritindiana.com. I want to thank my production staff on Spirit, Jennifer Verne, our research manager and our producer, and Heather Lawson, our trainer on Spirit and our podcast director, for helping make these podcasts possible. My chief of staff, Andrew Brooks, for his guidance and help on the scripts, and everyone else involved. Thank you so much. See you next time. Until then, stay safe and remember the truth is out there. Good night. Ghost to Ghost podcast and its contents is the property of Spirit Paranormal Ltd., all rights reserved. We welcome you to download and play the podcast and share with others for personal use. You may not, except with written permission, use or distribute its contents for commercial use. Spirit Indiana Paranormal, covering the Hoosier State since 2002, Indy's oldest parapsychology investigation group. If you're experiencing what you believe to be paranormal issues, reach out to us for help at www.spiritindiana.com or call our hotline at 317-883-9103. Again, that is www.spiritindiana.com or our hotline at 317-883-9103. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourself and the ones you love, and be safe out there.